Hello and welcome to the point of Huxxain biology. Today we are going to discuss the very important topic, and that is jaundice. Before starting the lecture on jaundice, we should have to do a little bit explanation about the important terms related to the jaundice. So first of all, have a look on the terms which are related to jaundice. Okay. So first one is hyperbilirubemia. What is hyperbilirubemia? When the level of bilirubin raises from the normal level in the blood. You know what is the normal level of bilirubin in the blood? That is 0.2 to 1.2 milligram per deciliter. So when the level raises from this level, that is called hyperbilirubinemia. Another term is icterus. What is icterus? There is a membrane in the eye, and that is called sclera. When there is a yellow coloration of the sclera, that is called icterus. So don't be confused with icterus and jaundice. Icterus is something else and jaundice is something different. Okay, icterus is a yellow coloration of sclera, and sclera is the membrane which is present in the eye. And another term is called cholestasis. You know, gallbladder. Gallbladder is the organ present below the liver. And what is the function of gallbladder? It stores the bile. Okay, and the biles come from the liver to the gallbladder and stored there in the gallbladder. Okay, so if there is the inflammation in the gallbladder, that is called cholestasis. Okay, and you know, icterus, yellow coloration of sclera. This is possible with the beta carotene. Beta carotene is a special type of protein which is present in the vegetable. For example, it is present in the carrot. Okay, so the yellow coloration of sclera can be occur with the beta carotene. So don't be confused with icterus and jaundice. Okay, so another term, that is hemoglobin, structure of hemoglobin. You know, in hemoglobin there are some rings. Okay, these are the rings. Okay, and this single ring is called pyrrole ring. Okay, this single ring is called pyrrole ring. Okay, and these rings, four rings, when combined, it forms protoporphyrin ring. What is formed? It forms protoporphyrin ring. Okay, when iron is added to the protoporphyrin ring, it forms hemoglobin. Okay, have a look on the types of hemoglobin. There is a type of hemoglobin that is called hemoglobin A, means adult hemoglobin, and the adult hemoglobin is formed of 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. On the other side of fetal hemoglobin, hemoglobin F. Hemoglobin F is made up of 2 alpha rings and 2 gamma rings. In this case, the 2 beta chains are replaced by 2 gamma rings. Okay, another is hemoglobin A2. Hemoglobin A2, there are 2 alpha chains and 2 delta chains. So these are the types of hemoglobin, and you know, these are the structure of hemoglobin. Okay, this is a little bit physiology related to the jaundice. I mean, we should have to explain the physiology. If we take the brief discussion about the physiology of liver, gallbladder, you know, all these things, so we will be easily reach to the concept of jaundice. Okay, so you know, as you know, this is the liver. Okay, and the liver, we have some special duct, and that is called intrahepatic duct. You know, this is the intrahepatic duct. Okay, so this duct leads toward the small intestine, but here this duct is called left hepatic duct. This is called common hepatic duct. Okay, and this is gallbladder. There is a special duct in the gallbladder, and that is called cystic duct. Okay, yes, this is the stomach, and this is the small intestine. Okay, this is the pancreas, the duct which come from the pancreas towards the small intestine, that is called pancreatic duct. But here there is a joint between hepatic duct, common hepatic duct, and pancreatic duct. These two ducts combine, so it forms what? Ampulla of Vater. What it forms? Ampulla of Vater. Okay, and this hole is called sphincter of OD. Okay, and this is the small intestine. Okay, so this is a little bit physiology of a liver and gallbladder and stomach etc. Okay, so have a look on the jaundice. What is jaundice? When increased level of bilirubin leads to yellow discoloration of skin, sclera and interstitial fluid. When the level of bilirubin increase in the body in such a way that it affects your interstitial fluid, it affects your skin and it affects your sclera, means the membrane which is in the eye. So it affects the coloration of your these three things. So what this is called? This is called jaundice. Okay. So how bilirubin production occur? Okay. Okay, there are three terms related to the jaundice. You know, the first one is called pre-hepatic jaundice, another is called hepatic jaundice, and the last one is called post-hepatic jaundice. You know, if there is some as of three types: pre-hepatic, hepatic or post-hepatic. You know, if there is abnormality in the circulatory system, if there is the destruction of red blood cell either intravascular or extravascular, it will lead toward the jaundice, and that jaundice is called prehepatic jaundice, means the liver is not involved in that case. Okay, another is called hepatic jaundice. If there is any abnormality in the hepatocyte, it means there is any inflammation in the liver, so it will lead to the jaundice, and that jaundice is called hepatic jaundice. And after this, the post-hepatic jaundice. If there is any blockage in the duct system which leaves from the liver and from the gallbladder, and there is any blockage here, so it will cause a jaundice, and that is called post-hepatic jaundice. Okay, so these are the terms related to jaundice. Okay, how bilirubin produced? Okay, so as you know, this is the red blood cell. Okay, and this is the spleen. As you know, the destruction of red blood cell will be occur in the spleen. Okay, there are some special cells in the spleen, and that is called reticulo endothelial cell. What that is called? Reticulo endothelial cell, where the destruction of old RBCs occur, or even those RBCs which are damaged, which are expired, so their lysis will be occur in the spleen and in the special cell, and that is called reticulo endothelial cells. Okay, these are the huge macrophage which destroy the red blood cell. Okay, so for example, if this is the red blood cell and it is destroyed, so what should be the parts of this destroyed red blood cells? There should be hemoglobin, there should be proteins, and there should be membrane proteins and lipids. But the proteins will further form amino acid, and the membrane proteins and lipid will form amino acid plus fatty acid, and this should be used as a raw material for the formation of other proteins, huge protein, polypeptides, or even fats. Okay, now look on the hemoglobin, because we will move towards the point, and that is bilirubin production. This is the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin contain heme and globin. Another globin is protein, and globin will further form amino acid, and you know, this is used for the other polypeptide formation. And this is the heme, remaining heme. Okay, as you know, heme contain iron and the protoporphyrin ring. As we studied here, that this is the protoporphyrin ring, and this is the iron. Okay, so iron, now iron should be stored for the reuse, so iron should be converted to apoferritin. Okay, apoferritin will further move toward ferritin, and ferritin will convert to hemosiderin, and on hemosiderin is a form of iron which can store it. Okay, this is the storage form of iron, hemosiderin. Okay, now another part of heme, that is protoporphyrin ring. Okay, so protoporphyrin ring will convert to biliverdin through a special enzyme, and that is called hemooxygenase. You know, hemooxygenase will convert protoporphyrin ring to biliverdin. Okay, and the biliverdin will convert to bilirubin with the special enzyme that is called biliverdin reductase. So that is what? That is the formation of bilirubin. Now we will move on our topic, and we will focus on the bilirubin. Okay. So what we have now? We have bilirubin. Okay. So you know, bilirubin is much toxic. This is much toxic. So what will happen now? Temporarily, the liver will make a special type of protein, and that is called bilirubin binding proteins. What that is called? Bilirubin binding protein. Bilirubin binding protein. Okay. So the bilirubin binding protein will bind with the bilirubin. For example, if this is the bilirubin binding protein, so it will bind with the bilirubin. Okay. For example, this is bilirubin in a complex form here. Okay. Why this complex form? As you know, bilirubin is toxic and it will enter to the central nervous system. Okay. If the bilirubin is alone, so it can cross the BBB, okay, and it can cause damage to your central nervous system. So for that the accumulation of bilirubin is inhibited, so a liver will make a special type of protein, and that is called bilirubin binding protein, and it will bind with the bilirubin in order to prevent him from entering to central nervous system. Okay. So this will form, but you know, this is still unconjugated bilirubin. Okay. In this case, this is still unconjugated bilirubin. Okay. After this, what will happen? Have a look on it. Okay. So this is the now when the bilirubin is bound with the special type of protein, bilirubin binding protein, in this case this is called plasma protein binding unconjugated bilirubin. Okay, this is called plasma protein bounded unconjugated bilirubin. Okay, now the conjugation of bilirubin will be occur in the liver. So have a look on that. You know, there is a special type of enzyme in the hepatocyte, it means in the liver, in the cells of liver, and that is called glucuronide transferase. Glucuronide transferase. And what is the function of glucuronide transferase? Have a look. Now it will convert the unconjugated bilirubin into conjugated bilirubin. How? You know, there is a special polar molecule present in the hepatocyte, and that is called glucuronic acid. What that is called? Glucuronic acid, where the glucuronic acid is formed from the glucose. Okay, and you know, glucuronic acid is the high polar molecule. What? High polar molecule. Okay, so what is the function of glucuronide transferase? Glucuronide transferase bind the glucuronic acid with the unconjugated bilirubin and convert it into conjugated bilirubin. Okay, so this is the function of glucuronidase, and now this is called conjugated bilirubin. Okay, so after this, if the conjugated bilirubin forms, so now it will enter to the small intestine. Where? To the small intestine, and through which, you know, there is a special duct, as I told you before studying the physiology, as I told you that there is a special duct which comes from the liver, and that is called common bile duct. So through common bile duct, the conjugated bilirubin will enter to the small intestine. Okay, so if this is liver, okay, so now through this common hepatic duct, what will happen? The conjugated bilirubin will move towards the small intestine. Okay, but in the small intestine, the conjugated bilirubin will convert to urobilinogen. It will convert to urobilinogen, but later on in the large intestine, the urobilinogen will convert to stercobilinogen. Stercobilinogen, but it happens in the presence of oxygen. Okay, so the conjugated bilirubin enters to the small intestine through the common hepatic duct. In the small intestine, the conjugated bilirubin convert to urobilinogen, and you know, the urobilinogen can be reabsorbed and can be re-enter into the body circulation, and then it will be a little bit comes into the urine. Okay, you know, it can filter through kidney, but the urobilinogen in the small intestine or even in the large intestine can be converted into stercobilinogen. The stercobilinogen is the last modified form of bilirubin, and that happens in the presence of oxygen. Okay, so it's all about the bilirubin, how it produces. Okay, so if there is a blockage in the liver duct system, or even there is an inflammation in the liver, or if there is an intravascular or extravascular hemolysis of red blood cell, so it will lead to the production of high bilirubin, and it will race towards the jaundice. Okay, the last term, and that is called kernicterus. You know, kernicterus is a condition in which the central nervous system become damaged. How it damaged? When the level of bilirubin increase in the body, when the level of unconjugated bilirubin, okay, or even plasma protein, when the level of conjugated bilirubin raised in the body, so it will accumulate, it will enter to the central nervous system, it will cross the blood-brain barrier, and that will cause what? Kernicterus. But especially kernicterus is related to newborn babies, because the blood-brain barrier of newborn babies are very weak, and in that case the conjugated bilirubin can cross the BBB of newborn babies and can cause what? Can cause the kernicterus. So it's all about the jaundice. We have a little bit touched to the physiology related to all the terms. So if you have any question, you can ask in the comments. Like and subscribe my channel. Thank you for today. We will come with a better one again. Thank you. Goodbye.